Mr. Austin St. John is here! Yes!
How you guys doing?
Yes! That's what I'm talking about. How we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Ohio. I haven't been up here in a minute.
Man, we are so happy to have you here. Can I get an OH? My
OH.
people, that's what I'm talking about.
I got to mess with them real quick. You ready?
Oh, here we go.
How many Michigan fans out there?
Raise your hand, I dare you. Raise your hand, I dare you.
Wow, not
You
one
did it.
Not one spear, not one knife was thrown. I'm impressed. That's good.
Yeah, no. We're civilized. We'll just boo because it's all Big Ten love, right?
You're just gonna wait for me on the street corner, right?
Yeah.
Nah. I got a buddy who's diehard Ohio, and I don't really care either way. So anytime Ohio's coming on and they're playing Michigan, I call him up, be like, "Go Michigan!" He's like, "Oh no!" I can't even tell you the things that come out of his face.
It's true.
So it's kind of it's like calling a Redskins fan and being like, "Go Cowboys!" You know, they get all sorts
like,
of mad.
What did you say?
Yeah, I can't believe it. It makes me happy.
I love it. We are in this room because we are huge fans of the impact that you've had on our lives, bringing this seminal character, the Red Ranger, to life, and all the different iterations that Jason has taken on. But before we get started in this, I want to get into origins, if you will, not of your acting, but I want to get into the origin story of what characters were you a big fan of as a child?
Shrek.
Wow.
So it was great. You know, he's always talking like that. Donkey, get over here. So, no, I don't know where Shrek came from.
That was a good answer, though. That was a really good one.
Shrek is always, he's right up there with Donkey. You know what I mean? Like, he's the only angry guy you can love to laugh at.
Facts.
But things I loved. I loved Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was the guy I wanted to be, man.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, I sparred with him.
What? Wait, hold on. Now, that is the most Red Ranger thing I've ever heard in my life. You sparred with Chuck Norris and survived?
It hurt, too. No.
One does not win against Chuck Norris. We know that. Like, come on.
I didn't have enough friends to fight with Chuck. I was maybe 24, and he was holding a seminar, and I had to go. You know, I was like, Chuck is Chuck. That's like, I mean, he's the only guy that ever beat Bruce. You know what I mean? Like, he defeated Bruce Lee. Who else has that on the resume? Nobody. Just Chuck.
That's right.
Right? I was like, I got to go fight with Chuck. And I did. And it hurt. I definitely would not say I got whooped.
Right.
But I felt every point of contact.
There you go. That's true.
So Chuck was awesome. He was a long way from Shrek. He was definitely not like fighting Shrek. But Chuck, Bruce, I tell you what, Samuel Elliott. I love Samuel Elliott.
Big shout out to Sam Elliott.
Morgan Freeman, loved. I know he's not an action guy, but he's just that guy that 1 minute he can be warm like your grandpa, and the next minute he can smile at you and terrify you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to really enjoy boiling the skin off your body. All with teeth. And you're just like, I'm so excited to die. You know what I mean? That's just Morgan Freeman. It doesn't matter what character he does. I love Morgan Freeman.
That's amazing.
Denzel, but he wasn't big into the action until later.
Right.
He started like
with the Equalizer.
All three movies. Like that's regular playlist in my house.
I love that.
Newer stuff, John Wick, all that. Just all the Jet Li, old school. A lot of the OG guys. Jackie Chan was huge in my world. And I'm talking old Jackie, like the drunken kung fu masters.
Yes.
And just all that, so much.
I love it.
Michelle Lee was incredible as a female martial arts figure in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and in China, where it was even more insane for a woman to be an alpha figure, and she still owns it when she does it. So just characters like that I thought were incredible.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So if you can, because part of our afternoon routine, we come home from school, we get snacks, we are waiting for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to come on. What was your routine as a kiddo when you came home from school? What did you do?
You don't want to know that.
Oh, we want to know. Just keep it before a certain.
Yeah. No, it was nothing that glorious. Trust me. My life was pretty boring. I studied with martial arts with my dad, usually in the mornings before school. He was a Marine. So 04, 05, we were up from time to time, and I trained with him. I'd go to school. Then after school, I had football, soccer, sports, crew, whatever sport I was in. And then after that, then I would come home, change, go to the dojang. At the time, at least in my teen years, it was Taekwondo, Chungdukwan Taekwondo. I would go to the dojang for a couple hours, do my classes, train. Then I come home for that, and then it was chores, homework, dishes, and bed.
That's a brilliant childhood. No, make some noise for that one time, y'all. Come on. No,
Yeah.
'cause-
My parents knew they knew I was a troublemaker, so every second of my life was filled with busy stuff. Saturday, however, it was like 5-6 hours at the dojo or the dojang or wherever I was, and they would train all that energy, that kid energy out of me. And then I got maybe 2 hours on the idiot box. That's what my father called it. You're gonna watch the idiot box? Why? It literally sucks the brain cells out of your head, son. There's better, and we're talking like rabbit ears, 13 channels.
That's right.
Half of them were in black and white. You know, back in the Stone Ages, right? And he says, "Son, there's nothing intelligent on the TV." "Dad, you watch the news because I have to be well informed as an officer." You just said it was an idiot box, and now you're well informed. He did not like that
Yeah,
comment.
I was gonna say, dude, that's 40 boom booms on your knuckles right there.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
So A&E and Discovery Channel and Wile E. Coyote tunes, all that stuff. That was my thing. Which, by the way,
Yes.
so we get into Power Rangers and
Yep.
all this hype starts coming up. Like, think of all the snide remarks, the innuendo, sexual innuendo. You watch Shrek. I mean, how many sexual innuendos are in that one, right?
That's what Shrek means.
That's
Yeah.
literally what it means. So when we have that happening, and then Wile E. Coyote, Bugs Bunny, like how many times did Wile E. Coyote get blown up by dynamite, run over by a train, drop off a cliff, and then Power Rangers come on and they're like, "That's too violent." Did you grow up in my era? What
No,
TV have you
no.
been watching?
Yeah.
Like, I know your parents watch those cartoons, and I'm too violent? Help me out. I didn't get it.
No, it's because what you guys were truly authentic, and you were very inspiring to a whole generation of kids who not only wanted to be like you, but would emulate so much of what you guys did. Now, you say, like, your parents put you through all these rigors to kind of keep you out of trouble, but I think they made you into a very palpable leader, and this is why Jason was the character that he was, because you brought that to the table. So let's jump right into Power Rangers. How did you become the Red Ranger?
It wasn't that mysterious, but I
Well, that's
like
fair.
how
That's
you
fair.
presented
That's
that.
fair. That's
The
fair.
Red Ranger.
Come on, with
I'm gonna start representing it that
Yes.
way. I'm Jason Austin St. John, the Red Ranger.
Yes, come on, y'all. Come on. Say that wouldn't. That works. No, you have to do that from now on. If you don't do that
I
from
gotta
now
throw
on,
in the
I'm
USA.
mad at you.
All right. So it was, it was a $20 bet.
Wait, that you had to pay or that you won?
Oh no, I lost the bet.
Whoa, let's go.
So I was in high school, literally.
Okay.
They were like, so I was teaching martial arts. One of my first students was a commercial acting coach, and he was like, "Hey man, I heard about this audition in the paper. They call it a cattle call, which means literally anybody that can read that paper or have it read to them is welcome to come and audition. Anybody, no talent required, obviously."
Oh, come on.
So there was, literally like 10,000 people showed up for this thing. And the guy who told me about it nagged me for 3 weeks. "You should go for this audition. They're looking for teenagers with attitude." I was like, "I don't have attitude. Who are you talking to? What? What?
You want to step outside?
Yeah.
What is that?
Come on, man. Just because I'm nice in the dojo doesn't mean, we can have another conversation." So it didn't really, no. But he was like, "Yeah, they're looking for teenagers with attitude." I was like, yeah, no. I don't want to act. I don't want to be an actor. I don't know how to act. I don't like cameras. I don't like large groups of people. Like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I'm not going. Well, in 93, gas was also like 81 cents a gallon.
Oh, do y'all remember those days?
And like, remember, they were barely born.
Well, that's fair.
They definitely weren't, some of you guys, most of you guys weren't buying gas, I don't think. And so she's like, I know. So I thought, all right, he was like, "I'll bet you $20 if you go to this audition, you will not be wasting your time." Wow. And I was like, "That's gas. That's like bologna and bread for a week.
Yep.
Like, I could eat and have wheels for a week." I was like, "I'll take you $20. Drove into the audition, 2 hours into Whittier, California, or from Whittier to LA. And it was this room packed. standing room only, and then packed again to the ceiling. There was like 10,000 people. And the lines were out the door, down the block on the sidewalks. It was ridiculous. And they gave us numbers, and it was ridiculous. Like, I almost walked out of the line so many times I couldn't even tell you. First audition, I finally get in, and they line us up, and they're like, how many of you know martial arts? I was like, and of course, every hand goes up, right?
Right.
Every hand goes up. I'm looking around at some of these guys going, nah. Come on, man. You might know Cupcake Foo, but, let's talk. And so, they did their thing, and pretty soon they put us out, and they were like, all right, show us what you know. And then it was on. I was like, all right, this crowd's about to get a lot smaller. And so we went through that several times, and they were so bored. Like, you see on TV in the movies where you do an audition, they have these huge theaters, there's 3 people sitting out here, all the people are up here, and you see 2 people just doing this. Sort of thing. That's what it was like. And so we did this stuff, and then they're like, and you do it, and they're like, doors over there, go wait. We'd wait. And then they called us back a couple times to have us do martial arts. And finally, they're like, okay, the door's over there. Don't come back to the group. I was like, wow. All right. Well, that was more work than I thought I'd have to do to make $20, but all right. So I get in the car, drive home, and back in the days of ancient Chinese technology, we had something called answering machines that had cassette tapes in them on a phone that was attached to a wall.
Yeah.
And
wait. We have to check the room. How many of y'all have ever experienced one of those? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Not bad.
Right. So I get home, and I remember I left the show. I don't remember the exact time now, but let's say it was 12:31.
Right.
I got home, and I checked the message, and the message was on my answering machine by like 12:36.
Wow.
And it was, we'd like you back tomorrow for a recall. I was like, a recall? All right. Okay. So, and before I had left, they'd handed a piece of paper to everybody. Now, I'm a high school kid. I take things literal. They're like, you know what? Here's a piece of paper. It's a monologue. Take a look at it. And, if you get called back, this will be what you'll do. I was like, okay. I have no idea what a monologue is at 17. And he said, take a look at it. So when I got the call back, I remember I was like, oh, I had this piece of paper I'd folded up like 8 times in my back pocket. And I unfolded it. I read it over. I went, that's weird. Folded it back up, stuck it in my pocket. I have now looked it over.
It's fair.
Right?
You followed
They
instructions.
didn't say to me things you should say to a teenager with attitude, such as memorize this. Look it over.
Right.
I'm following orders. I looked it over. So I show up the next day, and I walk in, and there's this beautiful casting lady. Her name was Katie Wallen. I was immediately thunderstruck. She could have said, do ballet on your face, and I would have been like, okay. So whatever she wanted, I was gonna give it my best 100%. Effort. And Strath Hamilton, the Australian director, is like, "Hi, mate. So did you look over that monologue?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay. Well, are you ready to do it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I reach into my back pocket, all 85 times I'd folded it, and I'm trying to open it up, and they're looking at me like, "Is this for real?" Because I had no idea, right? I had no idea. And Katie finally, she figures out that I am just a bonehead in the world of acting. And she's like, okay, baby, listen, come here. I'm like, Whatever she could have called me Bocephus. It didn't matter. I was all about it. And she's like, when they asked you to look that over, did you do that? I was like, And she's like, do you need the paper in your hand to do this? I was like, well, you want me to do the lines in front of the camera? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, yeah, I need it in my hand. And she's like, okay. She's like, we're going to do this audition several times until you get a feel for it, and then maybe we'll try without the paper. I was like, oh, you want me to memorize it? And she's just like, only a mother's patience, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm making it a point to memorize it, and I walk over, and a couple times I do the audition, and then it's pretty much the same thing. I see him taking notes, and Strath is like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, mate, yeah, okay, all right. Hey, what do you think, Katie? Yeah, and then they're all finished up, and they're like, thanks, mate. I was like,
that's it.
Bye.
Okay.
That's now half of my tank of gas driving from Whittier to L.A. for my $20, right? And I'm like, man, I'm gonna be lucky to break even on this. So I go home, and there's another call on the machine. 5 times I get called back. The 5th time, they put me in against Yamashita Tadashi, who was Hollywood's biggest stunt choreographer at the time. He did all the choreography for Blade. He did all the choreography for Sean Connery.
That's right.
Some of the James Bond movies. This guy was legit. He was an 8th Dan in Waterloo. The highest rank I had at the time was a 2nd Dan. So Strath Hamilton comes up to me in this major gymnastics center. They've got us narrowed down to 3 casts: a tall cast, a short cast, and my cast, the really short cast.
Wow.
Right? And I was bigger when you were smaller, I promise. So they're like, so Strath comes in, he's like, "Hi, mate, listen, I'm gonna need you to do a fight here with Yamashita, and Yamashita, you let me know if he's got what it takes, yeah?" And he's like, like that was it. Like this guy was
I would
literally
be terrified of that.
I was terrified.
Oh my gosh.
I was counting fingers and toes. I thought I was gonna die. I was like, "We who are about to die salute you." You know, I felt like I was in the amphitheater. And he was literally this guy. I don't know if he did. I need to look it up so I can actually verify this. But he looked like any angry kamikaze pilot you saw from an old World War II movie.
Okay.
He just and then he looked like he ate a small child covered in lemon juice before he got there.
That's right.
He's just
that's right. That's his energy. Yeah.
Just that kind of guy. And he was the size of the Hobbit, which somehow was even more terrifying.
Right.
And so we got on and we sparred, and he unleashed. And I thought I was going to die. I survived it. I remember the whole gym stopped for our fight. There were a ton of people in there. And the gym stopped, and people were just staring. And we finished up, and I'm like, I'm checking my face.
Right.
I've been in enough sparring matches. I'm like, am I bleeding anywhere? I was no bleeding. I still had all my teeth. I was like, yep. All my teeth are there. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, "Loose." And he turns around and walks away. And the director was over there, and he's like, "Yamashita, that looked good. And does he have what it takes?" And Yamashita's like, "Yes." And he walked away. I was like, man, a few words, right?
You don't ask that guy to repeat himself.
No, you don't.
No.
But, I mean, when you choreograph Blade and James Bond and other films, you don't have to repeat yourself.
That's right.
Right? I was in the presence of greatness.
Yes.
And it was an incredible scene. And so later I had to choreograph a fight with him. We did probably 200 movements in front of the heads of 20th Century Fox. This was the final audition.
Right.
And the heads of Saban, the heads of 20th Century Fox are there. And there's this one scene where I'm supposed to throw a kick, and he'd been bugging me, faster, because I was fast. Right. But on this one kick, we were very close, and I knew if I threw it full speed, I was going to kick his head off. Or at least I thought I was. I wasn't sure, but I thought I was, so I slowed it down. This is called discipline and self-control, right? And so I had been controlling it. My nerves are getting to me. I'm not even 18 yet, and we're walking in, and all these important people wearing suits who were clearly very self-important are there, and I have to now do this fight with this guy that I'm also terrified of, so my nerves got the better of me, and we started the fight, and in the middle of the fight, he's throwing punches at me. Faster. You know, every time he throw a punch, faster. Nerves got me, so I unleashed that kick, and I caught him square upside the head.
Oh.
Only an 8th degree in Waterloo could make it look like something out of The Swan. He went sailing. I mean, I sent him sailing. And he up into a dive, tuck rolled into it. My immediate thought was, I broke his face. And then my next thought was, I broke my foot. And then my next thought as he got up was, and he's going to break the rest of me. I'm about to die. And he got up, and the whole room was in this horseshoe. And so there's this big horseshoe of all these executives, and we're standing up here now, and I sent him flying, and he lands over here right at the feet of one of the executives. Right. And he gets up, and he was so good at his job. He gets up, and he's like, and he starts circling the horseshoe, and I'm going, I want my mommy. He is coming to kill me right now. And finally, right down the middle of the aisle in front of everybody, he's like, and he telegraphs that he's going to pick up right where we left off. At least that's what I was hoping he was doing. And he came back in, and I tell you what, if I had ever thought he was fast before, It was nothing compared to what I experienced after that. He launched, and we finished out the last bit of those moves, and all the executives were up on their feet, and they're like, "That's the best fight we've seen all day," standing ovation. And I'm still like not taking my eyes off of him because he's standing right next to me. I was like, he's gonna stab me in the throat right here in front of everybody on camera. And he's just, but I mean, he took it like such a pro.
That's amazing.
And he walked out, he turned and walked out. I never saw him again.
Make some noise for that, y'all. Come on.
That was wild.
That's amazing. Now, I'm going to say that based on his degrees of expertise and things like that, if you did not get the role, he would have killed you.
Probably.
It's only because you did get the role that he's like, you passed. That's how you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was supposed to have 2 other brothers.
Wow. We're just going to leave that one.
Now
right
I know
there.
where they go. I know where they went now.
That's what it is. That's what it is. All right, so you join the cast, and there's this amazing flavor to what this series is going to be. Did you guys have any real understanding of the technical side of how the footage was going to get, paired with you guys, or any of that?
It wasn't probably until I don't know how many episodes we already had in the can before they finally told us, or before I finally got my first exposure to take a look at the actual footage. And that was where I saw the Japanese cast members and stunt guys in the suits, and they were doing their martial arts. And that's when they told us, they're like, the first 80 episodes, we weren't in the suits that much. You could tell when I was in the suit because I was built like a tank. And my Japanese counterpart was very light. That guy might have been $150. And I was like $195. I was thick. So like he goes up in the air and he'd just stay in the air forever. Forever. It wasn't natural. I go up in the air and I come down like a meteor. And so he explained that the first 60 plus episodes were going to be all the Japanese footage from overseas, pre-filmed, and we were going to do the voiceover for all that footage, and then things were going to roll on. So we didn't really understand until we were into the process. They told us that there was going to be a melding of some kind,
right?
But we really didn't have any idea. They didn't want us to see a lot of that footage because they wanted us to do our own thing. They wanted us to have our own image.
Of course.
And so that's how we made our characters.
That's fantastic. I love that. I'm going to invite you guys to start lining up to ask some questions. And while you guys are moving, I'm going to ask one more. And that is, if there was a particular episode that stood out in terms of a difficulty for you, like whether it was the acting side, the action side, or just the narrative that was trying to be, come across, what was it?
The action side was definitely not where I struggled. I lived for that stuff.
Of course.
I was always running to stunts. For me, probably the original unaired pilot.
Oh, wow.
Because I had just turned 18. I knew nothing about acting. I had met my first director without cameras, really, other than like little handheld cameras on auditions, but I'd never been on a TV set or a movie set. My whole experience was what most of y'all's was. I saw the 20th Century Fox logo and the drum, the drum drums,
right.
and like that was what I knew about movies. So now I'm walking on the set and there's film cameras and I'm watching them load film in the cameras, and there's directors, and then I'm learning about wardrobe, and then I found out that guys had to wear makeup on TV. I was like,
right.
What? Why do I need? They were like, you need to go to makeup. I was like, what you talking about, Willis? They're like, makeup. And I was like, why? I was like, don't the girls go to makeup? I didn't know. Like, my mom wore makeup. My dad didn't. That's what I knew about makeup.
Right.
And they were like, everybody wears makeup, honey. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went and I sat down in the makeup chair and I met Carlos, who was the first gay man I'd ever met in my life.
Wow.
And his first comment to me, I sit down in the chair and he's like, boy, you have the most beautiful eyelashes. and he's like right here in my face. Well, he's got this thing doing stuff that I had no idea about. And I was just like, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. And he ended up being one of the greatest guys. I loved him. But it was just that whole experience.
Yeah.
And then to have women I don't know. At 18, I was still a virgin, So to have
Say
women...
that proudly. You don't have to say it like that. It's good. It's
well,
good.
I was the only guy I knew at that age that was a virgin.
Well-
So I can remember women I didn't know coming up and like fussing with my clothes. Like my mom, like she didn't even fuss with areas that they would fuss with.
Right.
Because she was like, I'm your mom. You go do that. And they were like, no, this is wrong. Pleat here, pleat there. No, you need to be on this side of the zipper. It's not working. And I mean, like, there was nothing offline for them.
Yeah.
So it was a whole lot of just eye-opening experiences. And then I got to work with all these actors who, Walter Jones and Paul Schreier and Jason Narvey and the whole cast, they took me in under their wings and taught me everything I knew.
That's awesome.
So it was just always the first episode for me.
I love that. Big love right there. Come on, make some noise. Hello, my friend. How we doing?
Good. So my question is, so when you originally left the first time, what was it like coming back to Zeo? Did you get a call or were you reached out in some way? What was that like?
It was interesting. Yeah, they reached out to me, asked me if I'd come back and do 17 episodes as the Gold Ranger, and then they asked me to sign for the second film at the same time. So for Turbo, which I did, and it was I think it was Shuki Levy who was the assistant executive producer or one of the executive producers. Great guy, and. We sat down and we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, you do 17 episodes, short run, do the second film. And then he sat me down on a film with this little boy named Blake Foster. And he said, hey, would you do me a favor? I was like, sure. He goes, take a look at this kid's martial arts. Let me know what you think. And I was like, all right. And this kid knocked it out, like kicked straight up in the air. He was just a little dynamo. And he's like, yeah, so what do you think about that? Because at the time he was filming this movie, I think, about dogs or puppies or something. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, yeah, kid's got talent. Like, he's good. And he goes, okay, we're thinking about making him the next Blue Ranger. I was like, well, if it's martial arts you're looking for, he's got it. And Shuki was like, okay, great, thank you. And so it was a cool experience to come back.
That's awesome. Great question. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Testing.
Test received.
Test sent out. Bit of a fun question. What's your favorite color?
Ooh.
Not red. I love the idea of wanting to love red, but I've had a little bit of it in my life. Between the red suit and the fire department, I've had lots of red. So I guess I like earth tones. Okay, what style Taekwondo?
Out of Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in the old days, there was four main styles: Cheongdo-kwan, Ido-kwan, Mudo-kwan, and I can never remember the fourth because I never trained in it.
Yeah.
But I was Cheongdo-kwan, which was the long, low stances. So you're what, WTF, WTO?
WTF.
Okay, all right. Well, that's great, man. You enjoying it?
Yeah.
And it keeps your family together.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's awesome. Good for you, brother.
Then my question is, it seemed like when the Balkan Skull episodes where you actually were laughing at those ones versus some of the other stuff.
Oh, it was easy to laugh at those two. and I tell you what, if you ever have the pleasure of seeing them in the Comic-Con circuit, you should. You will laugh. They are, you have great duos in comedy throughout time. Abbott and Costello,
Right.
Laurel and Hardy. I mean, there's 3 of them, but the Three Stooges. Eventually, there was 4 of them. But comedic timing, both physical and just the way that they deliver what it is they do is great. So if you ever get the opportunity to meet Paul and Jason, you should absolutely do that.
Definitely.
They're easy to laugh at. They're great to be friends with, and they're both incredibly intelligent guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. I just want to say you're one of the greatest Red Rangers.
Facts. Big facts.
Thank you.
So one of the things I'd like to say was the episode with you and Jason David Frank when y'all did Gung Ho. That was amazing. That teamwork was slam.
Of course.
So my question is, what was it like working with other Red Rangers in Forever Red?
Ooh.
Man, that was quite an experience for me because I was in the fire department in the East Coast. I was going to college, working my way through my second degree, and I had, or my first degree at the time, and I had no idea there'd been so many other Red Rangers. I knew Rocky took over for me when I left.
Right.
I had heard through the grapevine Jason Frank had become a Red Ranger, and that was all I knew. I wasn't really following the show. I was busy living life, working and doing my thing. So when I got a phone call and they're like, "Hey, you want to come do a episode called Forever Red with all the Red Rangers?" I was like, "All the Red Rangers? All 3 of us?" And they're like, "Well, no." I was like, "How many are there?" And they're like, "Oh, well, there's 11, but there would only be 10 for this show." And I was like, 10? Have you been killing off Red Rangers? Like, what happened? I wasn't even sure. So my curiosity got me. I actually took 4 days off from the fire department to go back to LA and film with them. And I got to meet these other guys who had these other legacies. And it was, I kind of felt like the Godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to come on and see all these other guys who had each carried on and carried their own weight and delivered. And because the Red Ranger is no small role.
That's right.
No, it ain't.
That's
You
right.
you pick up a Red Ranger role, I mean, you better be able to represent. And each of them did it in their own way, and I thought that was awesome. It was really cool to meet them and see how they chose to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
you.
Appreciate that. Hello.
Hello. This is a little low.
There you go.
There we go. So, Austin, thanks for coming back to Ohio.
Yeah, man.
Wanted to ask, I was super excited when you guys unveiled The Order a few years ago, put out that trailer. It's been a little quiet. You guys have had some things going on. First off, is that officially dead? But more importantly, how much fun was it to get back with all those guys that you hadn't seen forever and do something not Power Rangers?
Well, I don't think it's officially dead. Karen Ashley is the executive producer, so she's the big dog on that film. She just brought me in as one of the lowly actor monkeys, so that's what I came to do. The last conversation I had with her about it was a while ago. I think she still has dreams for it, but you'd have to talk to her really to get clarification on anything finite. As far as coming back to film with those guys, some of them I'd never been on film with. In fact, a lot of them I'd never been on screen with. It was great to work with them. And again, when you get around so many creative people, whether it's at a wood shop or at the mechanic shop or at the burger shop, when you get around people who are really good at what they do, that have so much of their own legacy behind what they've accomplished, it's always great to see other people's processes. Because if you got more than 2 brain cells in your head, you pay attention and you learn. You know what I mean? There's something to learn from everybody. And I love that. So I'm not afraid at all to learn from anybody and everybody. I love for that. I love it.
That's awesome. Well said.
That was a more phenomenal answer. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello there. Personal question. As a martial artist, do you continue to explore the many unique styles of arts that have evolved over time?
So if you look online, and I haven't done this in probably 10 years. The last time I looked, I was curious, how many martial arts are there? Because if you look back at history of any of even some of what claim to be the main systems, if we just say Kung Fu or Wing Chun, or we look at Kenpo, or we look at Bushido, or we look at Taekwondo, if we look at any of some of the longest running arts out there, I kept seeing all these splits and changes and directions and hybrids. So one day I Googled, I was like, how many martial arts are there in the world? Like 10 years ago, there was 2,500.
Wow.
So can I follow them all? Not a chance. Am I always involved? Absolutely. So currently I'm a member of the White Dragon Society. I've picked up probably my 24th system, and I've dedicated some time, or will be dedicating more time, to learning Pai Lom Tao, which is under Si Tai Gong, Glenn Wilson out of Florida. And he has inducted me into the White Dragon Society because of my impact on the martial arts community in the world. And Pai Lom Tao is, if you look at, are you familiar with the name Ed Parker? Mm-hmm. Ed Parker in the world of Kenpo, big boy, big name. Went to the West Coast. He trained under the same Hawaiian, I can't remember his grandmaster, it's fail on my part. But one of the guys he trained with went to the East Coast, and that was Master Pai. And Master Pai took Kenpo and added his own spin to it, and they created two different systems that in some ways were closely related. So I have my black belt in Kenpo, and I decided many moons later, after meeting Sigung Robinson, who introduced me to Master Pai is not around anymore, Si Tai Gong, Glenn Wilson, over the phone, and then through Professor Armstrong. And I started hearing more about Pai Lom Tao and its origins. I decided that was going to be the newest one. So currently I'm working on my second Dan with Pai Lom Tao, and there's elements of San Shi and elements of Ki Tai Gong, and they do quite a lot. They're based out of Florida, and they're an incredible system.
Make some noise for that, y'all. That's a lot. I love that.
Magnificent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello.
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 Just want to say, like many people here, I grew up on Power Rangers, as did my cousin. Our favorite Rangers were the red and green. So in that regard, I know you and Jason David Franks were both great martial artists, but did you ever get a chance to spar with each other outside of the show to see who is better?
That's the most Rocky and Apollo question ever. Okay.
No, he never challenged me. I think on set we filmed so much. I mean, we had 16, 18-hour days. By the time we got off set, we were like, we were done. We worked great on set. We definitely, he and I choreographed every fight that he and I had on camera. He and I choreographed. And, we did that based on our knowledge and our knowledge alone. We didn't need choreographers. So we definitely did that. I know Johnny had the same reaction. I know he choreographed with Jason Frank. I know Steve Cardenas choreographed with Jason Frank. A lot of the guys did. I don't think anybody had to fight with Jason Frank or with Tommy as much as Jason did. Right. But he and I choreographed all of our action, and we had a great time doing it. So we were pros on set for the most part.
That's awesome. Well,
we were also teenagers and had some very immature moments, but that's what you do at that age. Yeah. You're a martial artist, you're confident, and you're a teenager full of hormones. Stupid things are going to happen. So
worlds collide.
It happened. But I think about it now, and I never thought of it like this until right now, but you say the red and green, and I'm like, man, it was Christmas every day on Power Rangers.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Truth.
Like,
Absolute
look at that.
truth.
Which one of those colors do you not find on the Christmas tree? We're just missing, we need a little black, and we're almost there.
Right there. I love it. Great question.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hello.
Hey, how you both doing?
Good. Doing well.
All right, I have two requests for you. First, I was just going to say thank you for coming, both of you being here and speaking to us all. I guess one of my questions is, it's kind of weird to say that you're a part of so many people's childhoods and so many different backgrounds, cultures, and just to see the impact that you've had on so many of us. But now it's kind of weird because you're really a part of a lot of adults' lives. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? How do you feel about your involvement and your impact on just, the general society today?
It's a big one.
It is. It's a big one. The show is in 40 countries and 90 languages around the world. Mm-hmm. That's no joke. That's like Star Trek, Star Wars kind of numbers.
Deservedly so. Come on,
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I think, unlike Star Trek and Star Wars, Star Trek definitely got some kids in their childhood, but when it came out, it was the adults that Star Wars started with. We were designed from the get-go to appeal to a very young generation. And I think at the time I thought that was cool as a teenager. That was about what I could wrap my head around. I thought it was cool. And then we do, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we do, DARE, and we'd fight against drugs. And I thought that was cool, and that was a positive example. And I loved all that. But my absolute favorite thing about Power Rangers 30 years later are conversations like these. Because no matter where I go in the world, no matter what race or culture or religion, whatever country I'm in, the stories that I hear from you guys, your generation, are all still very similar in that we're still bringing families together. Definitely. Now your generation is watching with your babies, and your parents, the grandparents of the youngest generation, sometimes are sitting down watching this. Sometimes I hear from children who have horrible home lives, adults now, right, that tell me that was a 30 minutes apiece where they could sit down with their family and feel safe. And then other families that, tear-jerking stories, and other families that leave me, gut-busted, belly laughing. So no matter how we impact all these families, what I love about today is that I know now that myself and my castmates, no matter what series it was, we touch people, and we touch their hearts. And that has got to be the greatest job satisfaction in the world. And not because any of us were perfect, not because any of us were truly great, but because I think in our hearts we all in our own way really loved what we did. And we're getting that love back now, and it's incredible. It's incredible. I thank you guys, because none of us would be here if it weren't for y'all.
We started a couple minutes late. We only have like a minute or so left, so we can definitely get to this next question. Forgive me, guys, if you get a chance to come see you.
I'll be at my table after this. Swing
Because we
back
also
by.
have to do a photo at the end. So the last two, what I'm going to have you guys do is come up closest to the stage, so that way you can be right here on the photo. Is that cool? Stellar,
right.
stellar. Last question.
Actually, can you just tell my wife happy birthday? She's very shy, so
Happy
I'm not calling
birthday!
How old are you, girlfriend?
Hey!
Big 3-1
looking
in the
good. That's what I'm
house!
talking about.
Happy birthday, beautiful.
All right, so Austin, you are an inspiration for me, going that a little bit of acting, and same with Jason David Frank as well.
Stellar.
And to be honest with you, I accidentally discovered Power Rangers on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and one last question before I step off to the side. Other than your own character, who is your favorite Red Ranger of all time?
Ooh.
Tough question, I know.
And that's our time, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we do that right there.
I cannot remember her last name. Yes, I can. The first female Red Ranger.
Wow, good call. Good
So
call.
she did it for one episode, maybe two.
Yeah.
But she was the first female to step up and represent leadership in the Ranger. They all had leadership moments for sure. They were all leaders. But she was the first to put on the red suit and command the team.
Yeah.
And I met her one time, and I can't remember her last name, but I think I have the ultimate respect for being the first. The first of anything is always the toughest. That's right. And she had to step up and do that, and I just couldn't be more proud of her.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Great question. Great question. Okay, so I'm going to have the last two folks in line to come on up here. And Austin, we're going to have you come over here. We got our photographer coming up on stage.
We got a photo.
Here.
We ready?
And everybody else, y'all get up and come on up here for the stage. We want y'all on the picture.
I got one condition. You got to morph with me.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
But listen, this isn't the Pink Ranger. This isn't pterodactyl. All right. This is from your toes. This is a war cry. Jason was even-keeled all the time until he said what?
It's morphin' time.
All right, so I want to shake the building. Are you ready?
Wait.
All right, get in here. Pile in, guys, all up in here.
No, you guys got to turn around.
We got to face this way.
Face this way. There we
Look
go.
at this. I got the team right here.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys look great.
That's awesome.
All right,
Awesome.
are we ready?
Come on, pack on in here.
So
Pack on in
practice
here.
run. 1, 2, 3.
Morphin' time.
That's pretty good.
They've been waiting their whole lives for that. Did
Now
you hear
let's
that? That's
now let's
amazing.
triple it. All right. 1, 2, 3.
It's Morphin time!